I was gifted a Kobo Libra color for my birthday in December of 2024. And thank you to my mommy for doing that. The reason being was that for the past 5 years prior to getting this Kobo Libra color, I hadn't read more than 3 books. And as someone that was reading an average of over 100 books a year, it was very soul crushing to lose that habit, to lose the ability to read. I went through something kind of traumatic that I won't trauma dump in this video about, and it really kind of just rewired my brain in many ways. And one of those ways it unfortunately unwired me was the ability to enjoy reading. And so I really wanted to get that spark back, and it did happen. In 2025, I ended up reading over 100 books again, and many of those memories that I made were made on this Kobo Libra color. And so I wanted to take a second and make a video about some of the positives I found with the Kobo Libra color, as well as some of the negatives as a long-term user for over a year. Greetings, royalty. My name is Olivia, and welcome back to my realm. So we do have a companion with me right now, Tim Campy from one of my most beloved series, The Gray Man, at the top of this comic bookshelf. And I'm standing in front of my comic bookshelf for a very specific reason. For one of the benefits I have from using the Kobo Libra color. The first benefit is simply that it is an e-reader in color. There is a stereotype that the only people that benefit from color technology are people that are into comics like me. But I actually do think that's kind of not true, because despite owning a lot of comics that do have a touch of color, for example, I'm holding Wolfpack by Billy Bally Bally, which is one of the hardest names to say in the universe, the vast majority of the comics that I own are in black and white. And so a color e-reader would not bring this to life more than a solely black and white e-reader. But there are a number of benefits to color technology that made me, for the first time in my life, want to get an e-reader. I've been familiar with e-readers. I've held many e-readers. I've tried them out. But I never, ever wanted an e-reader, despite being a lifelong reader. But what I found, color technology really started popping in, I would say, about the last decade, was the kaleidoscope technology, was the fact that what I was missing was color. I am an annotator, and prior to having an e-reader, I would annotate on book apps that I had on my phone, primarily Apple Books and Kindle, because I didn't get into reading on Kobo until I got Kobo Plus, which we'll talk about later. But essentially, I have always been a digital annotator. I hate annotating physical books, but I loved annotating digital books. And so having color annotation was a big plus for me. The other reason, I'm not going to lie, it's just seeing covers in color, as well as seeing those splashes of color in comics, or my full color comics as well. But on top of that, I actually do read a lot of books that have interior illustration. Just to give you one example, Foxes and Poisons by Adina Childs, the first book in the Queen's Favor duology, which you need to go out and read right now, actually has multiple color illustrations. It has a full color map, which is very popular in fantasy titles, for example. And it also has illustrations like this. And so Kobo Libra color, I can enjoy full color illustrations inside of novels as well. Before we move on to point 2, let me put Tim Campy back on his shelf so I can boost up the video just a little bit more. The second benefit is related to actually the color technology, and why I kept waffling between a Kobo Libra color and which are more like e-ink tablets than really e-readers, is the fact that having a Kobo Libra color has made accessibility fun for me. You can probably see, unless you aren't watching this video directly and you're just listening to it, that I wear glasses, and I have worn glasses from a very young age. I've had very poor eyesight, which is kind of funny seeing as I'm a big reader. But reading books didn't make me lose my eyesight. I was just born that way. But over the years, I have developed chronic migraines. I have developed a chronic eye condition called scleritis. And so e-readers became essential for accessibility purposes. It sometimes is impossible for me to find the right lighting with a physical book to not strain my eyes and give myself severe migraines, essentially. And so I have found e-reading and falling in love with e-reading has really helped me to read more books again. While I do listen to a ton of audiobooks, one, for accessibility purposes, but two, because I just love to hear characters come to life. Blame the band slash theater child adjacent nature of my childhood. I sometimes just want to read a book. I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to do some type of dual thing going on. I don't want to struggle to find lighting. I just want to lay down my bed, especially on my chronic illness days, and just read my books. And so that has made e-reading just that much more fun for me and has really made, once again, accessibility fun. And the third benefit I found from having a Kobo Libra Color is one that I think seems counterintuitive given the price of these devices. The e-ink tablets can run you somewhere around $300, maybe even more. The Kobo Libra Color, when I got this, was $230. But I have found that the Kobo Libra Color, with the added Kobo Plus program, has actually, in a way, saved me a ton of money on books. While my library, my books on this side, are mostly used, I would say my new book percentage has gone way up since last year because I went to a ton of book festivals. Primarily, I would read at the library or I would get used books. But one thing I always paid full price for, usually, was my manga collection, which is vast. I think it's well over 200 right now, and it was even more before many of them got damaged in a flood at the old house I was living at. And so the Kobo Plus program has so many manga, it's actually kind of wild. And because you can simultaneously download a ton of those books, with Kindle, as soon as you hit the limit, you have to return a book. You don't have to return the book with the Kobo Plus program. It just sits and waits for you to download because you have about 12 to 13 books you can download at a time. You technically undownload it, but if it makes sense, it's still on your e-reader. You don't have to go back to the store and go find it again. So with that, I have 2,000 plus books just sitting, waiting to go as long as I have an internet connection to re-download them. And so it is so excited on top of my vast ebook library that I actually own that I can just not go out and buy more books because they are right here. What is the old saying mom and dad used to say? We got food at home, we got books at home. And so while the initial upfront investment is pretty large, and I will say you don't need the Kobo Plus program, it is helpful for me, but because it has Libby and Overdrive integration, you could literally just read books from the library and not purchase anything else. I found that over the life of this device, I think I will actually save more money than I would have if I was still physically buying ebooks and physical books. Because never audiobooks at least full price. Chirp deals I would do, but we ain't spending $30 on an audiobook. I'm just saying. Now, with all that praise I've just heaped to the Kobo Libra Color, there are some significant downsides I want to talk about. Now, as much as I adore that this is an e-reader, it doesn't have the other distractions of having access to the internet, even though it has like an experimental browser, but it doesn't really function all that well. I am not distracted by going online. The reason why I waffled so long with getting a Kobo versus the other e-ink technology out there that was in color was the fact that you can experience significant lag and bugginess if you sideload books like I do. Not only do I sideload ARCs, I sideload a ton of comics that I get off of Kickstarter and things like that. I sideload just regular books as well. And when you introduce a corrupted file, largely by accident, I use a program called Calibre. I think I've been saying it wrong for 10 plus years now. So however it's pronounced, that ebook management software that you can get on your computer. I typically do convert all of my books to the EPUB format, the Kobo specific EPUB format, but sometimes you just have a corrupted book. And so once it's side loaded onto the Kobo, you start getting significant lag. It won't turn on as well. It will start glitching and all different types of things. And so I have found that if I was using an e-ink tablet, like a book that had access to the internet, I would just be going directly into the apps for the most part. I wouldn't be side loading content as much. And so I probably wouldn't have as much bugginess, to be quite honest. So that is one significant downside you do need to keep in mind. Or, just be more careful than I do and kind of just pop everything in there. The second downside is something that you could get more with something where you could open up two browsers or like the Kindle Whisper Sync technology is the fact that you can't sync audiobooks. And I do listen to a significant amount of audiobooks. And so it would be really useful for the books where I have both to be able to read the book and listen to it at the same time. Now, this isn't a huge downside for me because I typically listen to audiobooks when I have downtime at work, when I'm walking, when I'm doing a long commute. And so I'm usually listening to them on my phone, and I rarely have my Kobo with me, even though these can play audio as well. And the other reason why it's not a huge downside for me is the fact that I typically don't own copies of both, right? A lot of people that are Kindle exclusive when it comes to their ebooks in the KU program, Kindle Unlimited, they typically launch their audiobooks wide, which simply means they have their audiobooks on more storefronts than just Audible, which is owned by Amazon, and subsequently is usually available through Kindle products. When an audiobook is wide, say from the library, or in this case on Kobo in the Kobo Plus program, I have access to that and typically not the ebook. So I would say if I brought more books in audiobooks or some type of combination of that, it would be more of a hang up. The fact that it's not available is a bit of a downside, but for me particularly, it's not a huge downside. But if you are very used to using Whisper Sync technology, for example, that would be a big downside for the Kobo. And then the final downside will be surprising to you because I'm not going to give a tech analysis comparing color devices to color devices because it just gets on my nerves every time I see someone trying to compare a color device to a black and white device. That's like comparing a 3D TV that was in its infancy to your standard plasma screen, right? They're two different technologies, right? But I will say that typically people talk about the screen itself. That will be some of their complaints. They will talk about, a whole host of things that might be some of their complaints as well. But my main complaint is kind of in direct opposition to saving money is the fact that, call me influenced, even though I'm on a no buy right now, so it's holding me back. I want to decorate this baby so bad. I have seen all the Kobo, Kindle, and other e-reading girlies decorate with these super pretty covers, these super gorgeous like charms. They just look so cute, and I want to color code my Kobo so bad. My very first video I actually uploaded on this channel when I relaunched my booktube was actually me unboxing and decorating my Kobo, which you can visit above or below, following the link on this video. While the pink color combo was really cute, it wasn't completely me. As you can see from my dim screensaver, because the device is off, so it's on sleep mode, but when it's on, you can see there's like a bear and bows, and it has this kind of brown and cream color scheme. That's actually more me. I love a pink and green combo. I love gold. I love blue. But as you can see from the color of my hobby room, I have always been a girl that loves brown. I also have a mocha brown case on my phone that I'm recording on right now. And so I really just want to do like a green and brown with some pink, like accents on this Kobo. To give you an example, it would be a lot like this TJ Maxx bag would be what I would do to this Kobo if I was spending money right now. But at the same time, I have this eternal debate of, girl, if you're going to just basically trick out your Kobo like guys trick out cars, then are you really going to save money, right, in the long run? So I do have kind of like, that's the downside of having an e-reader, because it's not like I trick out a book, right? Like I'm not going to put a tassel on one of my mangas or something like that. But with an e-reader, you do have the urge to just make it feel like you, if that makes sense. So that can be a significant downside if you're getting an e-reader to save money, because I promise you, every time I'm on Book Talk, Bookstagram, or BookTube, I'm like, I need to decorate my Kobo. That said, I hope this kind of mini review after being a long-term user of the Kobo Libra Color was useful, and maybe talked about some more unique upsides and downsides compared to other videos. If you would love a more in-depth review, as well as talking a more techie review as well, I don't own other e-readers, but I can tell you some of the differences I've seen online. And when I was, for example, shopping to get an e-reader myself and then have someone pay for it as a gift, I can definitely do something like that. But for now, since I'm doing a mad dash to post 100 videos in 100 days, I will have to say goodbye, and I will see you next time, royalty. Now, if you're a distinguished guest, you are not a citizen of our realm yet, you have not liked and subscribed, I hope you do so I can share more bookish lifestyle content with you. Okay, until tomorrow, bye!